Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, October 7th, 2019. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Bill Bank Greene. Before we get started, we'll let everybody know this is the last day of our get 2 months for the price of just $1 deal. 2 months for $1 runs out at $11.59 tonight. So head on over to Bucknuts, take advantage of the best deal we've ever had at Bucknuts. For $1, you get 2 months of VIP membership, takes you through the rest of the regular season, including the game and more. So take advantage of that deal before it runs out tonight. All right, Bank, the beat goes on for the Buckeyes. It wasn't perfect. They got punched in the mouth a little bit early, and they responded well. Beat Michigan State 34-10. What were your general impressions of the game?
Yeah, I agree with you. They got punched in the mouth. And I don't think it was that Ohio State wasn't prepared to play or ready to play. I think they were. Michigan State came in like Michigan State does. You know, Mark D'Antonio's a great coach. Those kids are always ready to battle and fight, and they were. And like you say, Ohio State, I thought they came out, I thought they were fired up, ready to play, and took Michigan State seriously. But when you're in that first real battle, you know, I thought they were just a little bit tentative, I thought, in the first quarter. I thought the play calling was a little tentative. And I thought they kind of went hand in hand there. You know, they had a 3rd and 9, I think, in Michigan State territory, deep in their territory, and ran Dobbins up the middle. And it was like, man, that's not how they play, you know. And then they kind of found their sea legs there. And in the second quarter, you know, they played some pretty beautiful football, as, you know, we've said week after week. That second quarter was about as good as it can be done. And they seemed to kind of, you know, open the throttle up there. And that's the way they have to play. You know, this is, you know, Jim Tressel ball is not going to work with this squad. And, you know, the Lions has already taken control. And, you know, it was a good win because they were in a battle. You know, the first 5 games, I think those teams looked like they were beat after about 5 minutes. I think those teams knew they didn't have a chance, and it was like a rollover. But there was no rollover for Michigan State. Even when they got blitzed in the second quarter, Michigan State played hard in the second half. So it was good for Ohio State to have a full game in a battle, because if you're going to win a national championship, those games against Indiana and Miami of Ohio, those aren't the true games that you're going to have to win. The game they played the other day, they're going to get the same exact game and the same exact effort from Wisconsin, only Wisconsin is better than Michigan State in a lot of ways. So I thought it was great. I thought it was a great game. I think Ryan Day was happy to be in a battle rather than just, you know, have a layover like they had against Nebraska.
Very well said. It's amazing how they're just demolishing teams in the second quarter. I mean, they're just killing people in the second quarter this year. It's some games they just dominated, period. But overall, second quarter is like their sweet spot this year. As you look at the offensive line, just comment on some guys like, I mean, Josh Myers is just mauling people. Also, at right tackle, what did you see? It looked like Alabi struggled. Then they had to put Bowen in there, but Bowen was limping pretty bad, you know, late in the game. Just what are you seeing from the O-line?
Well, I like to see how people respond when they get hit. You know, when things are going good, we all can play whatever our sport is. We can all play really well. But when you got to dig and kick and scratch and you got to fight back, that's when you really learn about people. So I really like this O-line. I like them a lot. And when they're on their game, you can see, you know, they drive this football team. And I've been saying that for a couple of weeks, and I was really glad to see Herbie say that the other night too. I mean, this is an O-line driven offense. And when they're on their game, I mean, they're going to maul people. And, you know, Josh Myers, you mentioned, is really showing, you know, the skill that we all thought he had coming out of high school. To me, I mean, I like Jonah Jackson. I mean, I think that guy is a heck of a player. And he's a guy, you know, he could have went back to Rutgers. He was a captain and very well thought of there. But to see Jonah Jackson being able to play games that count, I mean, he was going to be a pro regardless if he played at Rutgers or if he played at Ohio State this year. But to see this guy playing games that count is so great for him, and he has to be happy as can be. He's probably won more games in a month than he won in 3 years at Rutgers. So I'm really happy for him. To me, there's a drop-off from Bowen to Josh Olaby. And, I think they don't want to see how far that drop-off is when they play Wisconsin in games like that. I think they've got a solid 5 that can dominate, and then you've got, then I think there's a drop-off. So we'll see going forward. But I think Bowen is really kind of a key to this offensive line. They need him out there, and they need him healthy.
Yeah, hopefully the bye week will give him, a chance to heal up. But again, he was limping pretty bad after the game and even late in the game. So some type of leg injury he's dealing with, assuming that that's what, he re-injured what was already, hurting him. So hopefully it's not that leg that he broke that he needed multiple surgeries on, although who knows? I don't want to speculate on that. But obviously that's going to go in your mind when a young man missed a year and a half of football due to an injury and he's limping around out there. But I'm with you, man. I like Brandon Bowen is playing good football, and I like this offensive line as a whole. Greg Studrawa is a guy during the offseason that was like, including for people like myself, was given, a good amount of flack and wondering how he would do. How much credit do you give Coach Stud for the way this O-line's playing?
I always like to quote LeBron James, who's not one of my favorite athletes, but yet he had one of the greatest lines when he talked about the NBA, and he said it's a miss or make league. And all of sports is that way. Chris Ash, miss or make at Rutgers. You're a great guy. We think you're a great coach. You're not winning. You're missing. You're out. Greg Studrawa last year. Recruiting was a disaster last year, okay? All those Ohio guys told him no. They're scrapping around in the end, trying to find projects. He's playing what we all thought, and I think we were all right, playing the wrong guys on the O-line last year. He's got guys playing out of position. Well, when you're missing, you're going to get flack. And the opposite, this year, the recruiting has been really, really good on the O-line. The product we see on the field has been really, really good. So you get props. And that's what sports is all about. It's not personalities. It's not, we don't like the guy. No, it's like, Tony Alford right now is in the crosshairs for running back recruiting. Mr. Make sport, man. That's just what it is. And when things are going good, you get props. And when things are not going well, you're going to get cracked. And these guys know that. They know the arena they're in. They know the profession they've chosen. That's just the way it is.
Speaking of recruiting, it was a huge recruiting weekend for the Buckeyes. Just, what do the listeners need to know, about the big recruiting weekend that just wrapped up? Trey Bradford, CJ Stroud, just anybody you want to mention.
Yeah, Stroud's the interesting one to me. The more I watch film of Stroud and the more I watch film of Jack Miller, I think they're equals. And I'd like to have both. And I think Ryan Day wants to have both. But you can kind of see the way they're treating the quarterback position now in October. It's totally different than the way they were treating this position 6 months ago. So I think Jack Miller's star has kind of dropped a little bit with Ohio State. They've always wanted that second quarterback, but they were walking on eggs about 6-7 months ago, being careful not to offend Jack Miller. Or now I think, hey, they need to, and I think Stroud is going to be their second guy. He could end up being their number one guy, as we go forward. Stroud is not a throwaway second quarterback where you just take a warm body and you need someone in the room. That's not who CJ Stroud is. He's a player. And he's a legit threat to start at Ohio State one day. So, like I said, we'll see how this shakes out for Jack Miller, but I think CJ Stroud is going to be in this class, whether that's with Jack Miller or Jack decides to go somewhere else. But I just don't think they'll handle quarterback recruiting next year with Kyle McCord the way they have this year with Jack Miller, and it's all in relationship to how you view that player. Trey Bradford, you mentioned, I think LSU is a real player there for him. So I don't expect anything, big pronouncements coming out about him. Tyler Barron is really interesting to me because I think his heart is probably with Tennessee, but I think in his head he can see, there's a fire raging there, and that could be burning to the ground. So you got to do what's best for you, and I think his head is going to win out over his heart. And I think it's either Kentucky or Ohio State there. He had a great visit to Kentucky with his mother. So we'll see what happens there, but they want that second D lineman. I think they can get Tyler Barron too. And then you look at like DB recruiting, they need another corner. They're in great position to land Ryan Watts. They can get Jaden Francois too. I don't know if there's room to take both, but I think they could get both. So they're in great shape. I mean, this class to me is an A if they don't add anyone else, and they're going to add more. So then you're looking at it's just been, they've filled so many needs, and they got so many really good players that they really wanted. So, I mean, people are nitpicking when you rate this class a B or a B plus or something. They're nitpicking. This is an A class. And if they pop these few last couple of guys that we think they're going to get, then it's an A plus class. I mean, you pull classes like this every year, and you're going to be in the top 5, top 4, and you're going to be in the hunt for the national championship every year. This class is these classes and classes like this, it's all you need.
Great stuff, as always, from Bill Bank Greene. Thank you, Bank. And just a reminder, head on over to Bucknuts for our Get 2 months for $1 deal. It runs out at $11.59 tonight. 2 months for just $1, so make sure you take advantage of that. It's the best deal we've ever had at Bucknuts. Thanks again to Bill Bank Greene, and thanks to our listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day. Let's hear it, Buckeye Swag, best damn band in the land.